I'll be here just for 2 seconds to introduce Tom. Tom's been working with IC Stars for a little over a decade, right, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and with this civics or with the social science 101 that we do, there's going to be 4 weeks of it. It's going to be 2 virtual sessions and 2 in-person sessions. And then these things like we've covered. So what Tom's going to go through is like it's called like the civic mind, the civic heart, the civic muscle. There'll be like a small presentation at the end where you can kind of talk about like a non-profit or something you're interested in or what's important to you and your community. What's come out of this over the years, like as far as community goes, is mentorship for education, kids finding passions, genocide, discrimination amongst a variety of individuals and spaces and communities, financial literacy. What else, Tom? Policing, climate, politics, right? Voting. Yep, voting, all the stuff has come up. So hopefully over the next 4 weeks, over time, you all can find something that you're passionate about, and maybe Tom can give you some insight on that. And then on the flip side, you all can give Tom insight on what your real life experiences have been and why things are important to you. So we bring Tom back with every cycle, just kind of like push that and can really get us involved and get us thinking about what we can do to help contribute going forward. So it's been a good run. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Well, good morning, Cycle 52. This is my 10th year with IC Stars, and we will spend a few minutes just getting orientated and how the class structures, how the schedule will go. Then we're going to ask each intern to unmute and say their name, where they stay, and what your burning issue is. Before that, I'll do a little more about myself. All right, well, a few things. As Larry said, we're going to be spend 4 sessions together today, and then next Thursday also on Zoom. And then session 3 will be in person at headquarters on Wednesday, and the final session also in person on Wednesday, on the 15th. We will be covering civics and democracy and organizing and discuss issues of power and justice. And we'll get started in a few minutes. But there is an assignment that I will post into the chat right now. This information is also on our class website, which I'll show you in a minute. We call this putting out the fire. So you notice that in our survey, I asked you, what is your burning issue? Meaning, what keeps you up at night? What makes you mad? What motivates you for change and justice? And we're going to ask you to share that in a minute. But first, I just want to show you a few things. The first is our class website. So this right here is at Civic Lab HQ, and here it is. And the password to get there is IC Stars. What a surprise! So here, I'll show that to you in a minute. Yeah, here's the chat. So there's the link. And so there's the website. Everyone can see that, where it says home. Yes. Good, thank you. So you come to this website, civiclabhq.us. You'll see IC Stars Civics 101 up here. You'll scroll all the way down, Cycle 52. Click on that. If you get challenged, the password again is IC Stars in caps. And here's what you'll see. You'll see the schedule. You'll see the link if you lost it to the Zoom, which we'll use again next week. You'll see it here. You'll see a link to the instructions if you misplaced them and need them again. And then you just see the agenda for each of our classes. Now, each class is being recorded, as you noted, and right below here, for each session, you will see the video parked there. So in about a day or two, you'll see this session, what we're doing right now, will be there on the video, as well as the PowerPoint that I'll share with you. That'll be there as well. If we do any Jamboard or any other kind of handouts or anything like that, that'll be there as well. So there'll be one place to go, basically, to keep all this material in check for you. But also, if you're curious, there's a class resources page, which contains material from the other classes over the years. So there's all sorts of material on there that we're not going to cover. Over the years, we've covered voting, civic engagement. We've talked about equity, injustice, all kinds of topics where there's a lot of material there for you. Now, as I mentioned, there will be an assignment. Each intern will produce one presentation, and we'll give that in person on our final class, related to the topic that you're going to say in a minute. What is your burning issue? So when you do those presentations, you're going to email me, and we're going to go over this in a minute and in more detail in the next class. But eventually, all those presentations will be parked here where it says presentations. So you'll see here, it's nothing there now. This is cycle 50 presentations. So all your work will be here. And if you're curious as to how it looks and what your predecessors did, you can simply go up to IC Stars here, go to cycle 51, C51 presentations. And then you can just get a sense of what your predecessors did in the last cycle. That might give you some inspiration or some guidance, some awesome work from the interns over the years, and I'm sure you're going to match or better them. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So here we go.
Hey, Tom, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
All right, cool. I'm gonna jump here. I think Tendalea is logging in from her phone. We have like an all cities meeting. I gotta attend here at 9 o'clock, but Tendalea listening from her phone if I need anything.
Okay, cool.
All right, thanks, Tom. I'll see you all later.
Yep. So there's a little bit about myself. You can see this screen. Yes, there's my smiling face. Okay, so these are the various websites that I enjoy, that I've done over the years. And here we go. That's the wrong one. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I used to be a Shakespearean actor. So I have a lot of experience in the world of theater. I know a lot of the interns do a lot of creative pursuits. Aside from doing your interns and your studies, a lot of you have different artistic skills and abilities and interests. And in the early days when I had hair, I actually was an actor, and then I became a theater producer. You can see me over there in the upper left hand of the screen. I'm holding a drink in my hand. That is a production set in Hollywood in the early 40s, but it was based on Hamlet. So it was Hamlet set in the 1940s. Then I was a producer. You see all these people in a swimming pool. That is a production of a musical called The Frogs, done in a swimming pool. The musical was by Stephen Sondheim. I was a community organizer and developer for a place called People's Housing, and created a community arts program. This is in the north side of the city of Chicago, in an African-American community right on the edge of the lake called North Rogers Park. That was in the early 90s. We had thousands of people in the community involved in the arts, creativity. We had a talent show. We had an all-ages open mic. The young people produced a newspaper. We had talent shows. It went on and on and on. Jewelry making. We sold the jewelry that the young people made on Navy Pier. It was just an amazing experience up there on Howard Street. Fast forward a few years, I was in an internet startup. So if anybody ever wants to talk about the early days of the internet and e-commerce, you can just call me or email. We can have a chat. But that was in 1999, and I worked for ourhouse.com. And that was Ace Hardware's online play. So Ace Hardware, as you know, is a multi-billion-dollar company with thousands of stores, and this was their way to get online quickly. It was called ourhouse.com, and we went through $150 million in about a year, and all I have to show for it is this T-shirt. So if we had just gotten into the market 6 months earlier, I could be like Mr. Czar guy, and I could be like driving my gold Rolls Royce or whatever. But sadly, we had a wonderful time. I learned a lot. I was the 16th hire in marketing and creativity, and we went up eventually to 160 employees. Gio, you got your hand up? What's up?
I do. I had a quick question. From Howard Street, I actually graduated from Gale Academy, 8th grade. Did you ever do any work with the ceasefire office? It was briefly on Howard, right next door to that building.
My guess it was after my time. I left there in 1995.
95. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Ceasefire is
Sorry for
awesome.
interrupting.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Ceasefire is an awesome organization. But yeah, we did our work we had organizers, we did youth programs, all kinds of stuff on Howard Street. Anyway, the story of ourhouse.com is that we could stop there and spend the rest of the day just talking about the world of the early days of e-commerce, as the company was finding its way, as other companies were finding their way online. Like, how do you sell online? Will people use their credit cards? I mean, things that you take for granted today, you know, with the billions and billions of dollars that are spent daily on e-commerce all over the globe. In those days, it wasn't sure whether people were going to trust, you know, this invisible thing with their credit card. You know, a simple thought like that was a big problem to solve back in those days. We're talking about 1999, right? Remember, I don't know, some of you might have been like 5 years old or something. I don't know. I see a bunch of young faces in here. But anyhow, fascinating experience. Again, topic for another day. I learned a lot. I've been an educator and a teacher for decades, and I've taught all kinds of interesting classes. I was born in New York City and started or led 14 nonprofits. I love history, politics, and photography. I have a little garden here in the city. But the main thing in my life is this little lady right here. Merle is my wife, 31 years. She's small but mighty. Let me just say that. She's the brains of this outfit, let me tell you. And so that's Merle right there. These are the classes I've taught over the years, really, just to let you know that I have a lot of experience in teaching. But honestly, what we're doing today, what we're going to be doing together over the next 4 classes, this is the most precious thing and most meaningful thing that I do as an educator, is that how we're going to interact together. I'm going to learn from you. Hopefully you'll learn a little something, you know. But this right here, my interaction with IC Stars, to me, is probably the most important thing that I do in my civic life, in my public life. These are the nonprofits I started all over the years, quite a lot of them. But over the last few years, I've done a few things that are worth noting. I organized something called Protect Our Parks, and we stopped the privatization of Lincoln Park. Our organization also sued the Obama Foundation. Again, that's a conversation for another day. Why did we do that? To stop them building the Obama Center in Jackson Park, which is public land. So I have a thing about protecting public assets, public life, public services, public stuff, and public parks. And I am opposed to anything that's a private thing that wants to take over a public land for free. So it's not that I don't like Mr. Obama, President Obama, or that he shouldn't have a great center in his name. It just should be on private land. I was an organizer that stopped the Olympics from coming to Chicago in 2016. So that's, again, another conversation for another day. Why did I do that? Why do I got against the Olympics? But we were called No Games Chicago. And we did our work in 2009, and we actually went to Switzerland, the headquarters of the IOC, to tell them, don't come here. We don't want you. I ran for Cook County Board President in 2010. So I was the Green Party candidate for a public office, and my opponent was Toni Preckwinkle, who is the Cook County Board President to this day. So I was her opponent then, but I think she's done a good job in the years since. And then I started the Civic Lab, and I published a book called Chicago is Not Broke, and all that's right there. These are just some images from the work that we've done over the years at the Civic Lab. It was a physical space. I think it was America's first co-working space and maker space for social change and civic engagement. And with my partner, Jonathan Peck, you can see him with his arms crossed. Jonathan is a master organizer, an educator with experience across the globe. We started something called the Power Institute to train people to win for justice for civic life in Chicago. So that's called the Power Institute, People Organizing to Win, Engage, and Resist. We've trained about 10,000 people. Now, I ask you what your burning issue is. This is mine, economic injustice. So I'll ask you to say a little bit about that, why you picked yours, and I'll say a little bit about why I picked mine. Well, to me, unless we solve this issue of economic injustice, which is rooted in racism and many other bad practices, unless we solve that, we really can't solve other issues that stand on top of it. So that's kind of my take on that, and that's why I feel so strongly about it. And then I'll share one funny fact, and that is I used to be a hippie. Back in the day, for those of you who have to Google the word hippie, this was a kind of a counterculture, a lifestyle, shall we say, in the mid and late 60s. If you heard the term free love, make love, not war, people doing like this all the time, or if you watch, was it the Black Judas? Black Judas, no. What's the movie about Fred Hampton that just came out? You'll get a sense of not only the politics of Chicago and what an amazing person Fred Hampton was, but you'll also get a vibe of the 60s. So that's what I was. I was a hippie in the day. All right.
It was called Black Messiah.
Black Messiah. That's what it was. Black Messiah. Amazing film. Thank you. All right. So there's our website. So when I say in the class, it's on the class website or refer to the class website, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this right here where it says cycle 52. Okay, cool. All right. So that's a little bit about the flow. Now, what I'd like people to do is I'm going to start with my screen where I see Truman, and I'm going to ask Truman to unmute and just say hello, where you live, and what is your burning issue, and then please pass it to another intern. So don't forget when you're done, turn your mic off, and before that, pass it to the next intern, and we should be able to cover this pretty rapidly. All right, fair enough?
Yeah, awesome. Well, my name is Truman Reed. I'm from the Austin area, and my burning issue is environmental justice, because I believe that the environment allocates a lot of benefits for us and resources as well. So I think the environment is top notch when it comes to my burning issue. So now I'm going to hand it over to the person over to my right, Marini Harris.
Hi, my name is Marini Harris, and my burning issue is, I guess, breaking generational curses. So providing opportunities to impoverished areas, I guess, if that's, and so then I'll pass it to Olivia Murphy.
Thanks, Bernie. Hi, Tom. Nice to meet you. My name is Olivia. I live near Ukrainian Village, if anybody's familiar, in Chicago. And my burning issue, I have a few burning issues, to be honest, but one that I think really hits close to home for me is similar to Truman's, actually, is, with the climate crisis and just like pollution in general. I've been volunteering for a couple of years now with Friends of the Chicago River, excuse me. So that's kind of something that's been really important to me, is just kind of locally keeping Chicago clean and safe, environmentally. And then I guess I will pass it on. I see Hannah here, so I'll pass it on to my friend Hannah Val.
Thank you, Olivia. My name is Hannah Val. I'm from Ukraine, and one of my burning issue is the war in Ukraine. That people can kill people because of the nationality, because they want their land. That's one of the burning issue. As Olivia, I have a couple, not even a couple, I can tell you, maybe 100. So this one of the first, because I'm worried about my family that still live there. My parents come here as a refugee, but it's just my parents. I have a lot of people there about whom I worry. And other burning issue that can fit maybe here in America is that when I open the news and reading that so many people killing people, I don't know, parents killing the kids, kids killing kids, you know, all this make me worry. And I don't know, this so old problem, and I don't know how to fight with that. But this is my burning issue. I can get what to do. Thank you. And I will pass to Virginia Handley.
Thank you, Hannah. And hello, Tom. So my name is Virginia Handley. I'm from Aurora, Illinois. And as far as my burning issue, I think mine deals more with people and poverty mindset, and kind of breaking the barriers that have been put around our minds and the ideas of what we can achieve and the positions that we can hold. For me, I feel like creating opportunities is a way to combat the economic injustices by putting people in position to offer positions to other people that look like them, maybe don't come from the cleanest backgrounds and things like that. So that's where I want to really put a lot of my efforts, as well as affordable housing and just meeting people's physiological needs, because everybody deserves to just be able to live because they're and live decently just because they are alive. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't unmute myself.
Who are you passing it to, Virginia?
To Reggie.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, well, first and foremost, my name is Reginald Daniels. I'm from Chicago, south side of the city, born and raised. And my burning issue would be fatherlessness, primarily in the United States of America. I believe it is a huge cause of instability in society in general, and my community in particular. I think it's as a person who grew up with, who was blessed to have my father, I grew up with kind of like a single father situation. I mean, I had access to my mom. She was in and out, but she traveled a lot and did a lot of different things. It's just meeting young guys who are 17. Like I met a guy one time at a job I was working who was 18. He had 3 children, and the young brother couldn't tie a tie. And that it just bothered me. And it's just a lot of young men out here with no guidance, who don't know what they're doing and who don't understand the power that they have, and they misuse that power and they end up getting themselves in dire circumstances. And to kind of build on what Marini said in terms of generational curses, that becomes the source of a lot of generational curses, is children making mistakes and babies having babies because they have no guidance, and fathers being the primary purveyors of structure and authority in a child's life. So fatherlessness for me is my burning issue. So I'm gonna pass it to Lanye. I'm gonna pass it to Lanye.
Hey, good morning, Tom. So my name is Lanye, or you can call me Lonnie. My burning, oh, well, I live in the South Shore area, near the South Shore area, south side of Chicago. And my burning issue, I have a lot of them, but my main issue is police brutality. Not only outside of prisons, but inside as well. So yeah, I think the structure of the whole policing thing, period, to me, it needs to be torn down and rebuilt. So I'm gonna pass it to let's see, Keanu.
How you doing? I'm Keanu Glover. I lived in 15 different states, but I was born in Chicago. My burning issue would be food deserts. I used to live on 121st in Michigan in Roseland for like 8 years, and it was a complete food desert. Nothing but corner stores, where they sell food, where they sell liquor and snacks like honey buns and hot Cheetos and Arizonas and stuff like that. And I like to eat. And yeah, I think they put a lot of food in those communities for a reason. And they give different communities certain grocery stores or a certain amount of grocery stores. It just makes it hard. You know, like some people don't have cars to get out there. Some people don't have money to get on the bus or to get out there. Some people got kids. They can't really just leave in the house to go grocery shopping. They do it on purpose. So, yeah, I would say food deserts for sure. And I'm gonna pass it off to Cyan Williams.
Hey, Cyan, you're muted.
I thought, I'm sorry. I'm saying, I have a lot of issues, but I would say one of my main ones are women's issues. So women have been through a lot and have been put in so many boxes, and being raised by men who were raised from down south, it was pretty hard, and a lot of things that they put on us, don't believe should be put on women. So yeah. Dimitri.
Hello, I'm Dimitri Sommer. I live on the west side in Garfield Park. I guess my burning issue is just equal opportunity, more opportunities like I see stars for people who are in impoverished areas or people who are, I, I guess, in need or don't have access to these type of opportunities in their community or their neighborhood. Yeah. So I will pass it on to.
Oh, hey, but listen, before you do that, Dee, can you say why you picked Glory as your song?
Oh, I picked Glory because it was like inspirational, and it talks about in the song, one day we'll have the glory, and the glory will be here, and it will be ours. And I don't know, it's just something that really just inspires me and really causes me to think about, be more optimistic about the future.
Cool.
So,
thank you. Now pass it on, please.
I will pass it on to Andre McDavid.
Hello, I'm Andre. As for burning issues, mine would probably be something along the lines of true equality, along the lines of like, instead of just accepting people for who they are without any like discouragement or hate, even if you don't agree with their ideals or morals or something like that, but they're people, non people. So as long as they don't mess with me, I don't mess with them kind of deal, that kind of true equality. I guess I'll pass it on to, my internet went out for a second. There was like a big boom and then my power and her internet. So I don't know who went exactly. So I'm just gonna try pass it to Kat Cooper, maybe? Okay, I'm good.
That works. Thanks. So yeah, I'm Kat Cooper. I'm from the South Suburbs. And my burning issue, like everyone has said, they've touched on a few. I've a few, right? Like climate change. I donate to the Nature Conservancy every month, the Children International. There's just a lot of things that need, attention. But in particular, it would be reproductive rights. I think a lot of times when people talk about reproductive rights and access to reproductive care for women, it's always centered around abortion, but there's so much more there that women need, in particular women of color. I mean, as we know, the statistic is that women of color die in childbirth more than any other. I personally that has struggled with childbirth and had complications for the rest of their lives surrounding it because of the care they received at hospitals like Cook County. So it is very much a personal burning issue for me. I would like to pass it on now to Claudia.
Hi, I'm Claudia Catavillo. I live around the Lakeview area in Chicago. My burning issue would be, I put it in the survey as capitalism, but I would say it's in the same vein as economic justice. I really believe that it's an entropic force that will eventually or potentially lead to the decline of society. And it touches on so many, it's like the root of the thing that touches on so many wrongs in people's lives. And I'll pass it on to Eugene.
Hi, Tom. My name is Eugene Shapovalov, and what I see here in US, so we are living in a 21st century, and I still see a lot of homelessness and poverty struggling, and so that's my burning issue. And I can pass over to Galina Berezik.
Thank you, Eugene. I have a lot of issues. I have a lot of foreign problems. So first, I'm also from Ukraine, and my biggest pain is war in Ukraine, and I worry about third world war, because if Ukraine will fall, it can happen. And I worry about nuclear war too, because Putin is crazy and he talking sometimes about this. And for here, I have read a lot of story and news about kids have access to weapons and kills kids in schools, and even just people kill people every day for some reason. For me, it's crazy. And also, third one is food in USA. I have rice and grow in a very small city, very close to village, and I ate food. I know how taste natural food, from milk from cow, natural cheese from a sheep, natural apples and fruits. So in USA, I didn't try yet this taste. In USA, I didn't try. I live here 5 years. It's totally different. What we eat here is different, and no one knows this, because we buy and we think that it's normal taste, but it's not. So I worry about artificial food, a lot of sugar in food. In perspective, it kills people. It kills people. This food, and I have read scientists like sorry, what scientists said about health in the USA. So USA now is around 87th place in the whole world for health. Not top 5. USA is 87. It's not means that it means that people not health. It not about how long people live, because people live long because they take medicine, and they start take medicine very young. So it's when you take medicine, it's not health. So we have to try and do normal food, organic, nature, really organic, because here organic is not test real organic, how I understand this. So this medicine, food, and I can say more, but
no, that's good. Thank you. You said a lot of good things. We could spend a lot of time on any one of them. Let's see, who needs yet to go? Tiana?
Hi, my name is Tiana Jones. I'm in the Austin area on the west side of Chicago. I have a lot of burning issues. Up in the survey, I put injustice of Black and Brown people dealing with the housing and community growth and development, as well as the education, in particular with the youth and history. I picked those issues for one, for the history up in education. When I was growing up, I was mostly going to either diverse or predominantly white or non-Black schools, elementary schools, and we barely had any type of history that dealt with Black and Brown books and stuff like that, and learning about that, unless it's during Black History Month, and it was barely any information and stuff given. So the most I've received is when I came to Chicago and came to my neighborhood's elementary school, which is predominantly Black, and that's when I received most of the education with dealing with history in Black and Brown um, learning about Black and Brown people, and also too with the community growth and development and housing up in my neighborhood, as well as I see it mostly around me, is abandoned lots and abandoned housing, more people moving out rather than moving in. And so I want to fix up my community and make it look good, as well as make sure that people want to come here and to live here, because it's a nice neighborhood and stuff. Oh, and I'm passing it off to TJ.
Hey, how's it going, Tom? I'm TJ, and man, a lot of my burning issues have been already mentioned. So the social injustice, the economic injustice, I'm really big into trying to provide generational wealth. The thing that Galena had said about the food not really being real and sustainable or whatever, I believe that's 100% true as well. I can say a lot. I was born and raised in the south side of Chicago, and now I stay in the Belmont Cragen area.
Okay, now we have somebody on the screen called Panther. Who's Panther? Reveal. Panther, are you there? Does anybody know who Panther is?
That might be Tandelaire listening.
Oh, okay. Well, hello there. Stealthy Panther person. Okay.
We still have a few people that haven't gone.
Yeah.
Gio.
Okay.
Alberto, Lynetta, Kishana.
Thank you, Virginia. Well, my name is Gio Santiago. I'm from the Hermosa Park neighborhood. Same neighborhood that Walt Disney was actually born in. Let's see here. My burning issue is resource allocation. You can't create opportunity without resources. And as Keanu mentioned, resources like food markets and something as simple as a basketball hoop at a park are something that you can find in the hood. And how are you going to keep these kids busy? Also, I don't like aquariums. You know what I'm saying? Like the Shed Aquarium and all that, like where they keep, whales. But that's a topic for another day. I'll pass on to Alberto.
Alberto Romero. Some of my burning issues, I put them in that form. And it's just mostly like just economic stuff that we put into our bodies, stuff like that. And I'll just pass it on to whoever else didn't say anything. I came a little late, so.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. Tom. My name is Kishana Irvin. Born and raised. My burning issue would be that the fact that there are tens of thousands of Black women that are missing, and it is not on the news, and nobody's talking about it. Another burning issue that I have is capitalism. There shouldn't be millionaires, billionaires, and there's people that can't even afford a loaf of bread. Or I would also like to piggyback off what Galena said about the food, like the fact that there are so many chemicals and carcinogens and poisonous things that are in our food that are banned by like 87 different countries. So it's just.
Got it. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there, Kishana.
It's really messed up. How that's just a few of burning. I have way more, but that's just a few of the main burning issues that I have.
Great. All right, let's see now.
I would like to pass it on to
Lynetta, Elena.
I don't know who didn't go. Lynetta.
Let's see. Has Olivia? You did. Okay. If you haven't gone, just jump in, please.
My name is Lynetta.
There you go.
I've experienced a lot of history in this city. I was raised in Chatham and Lawndale. I'm going to take you back because I'm going to tell you that I marched for the retention of Ruth Love. The idea of educator actually lead the Chicago public school system. I collected money for the NAACP. I was part of the advocacy department for the Chicago Urban League, which was the first advocacy department in the nation and became the model for such departments around the country. I'm currently in Lincoln Park. I live on the site of what was Children's Memorial Hospital, so I actively benefit from a low-income housing tax credit. Okay. As far as burning issues, as people have said, I have many, but the ones that I am going to choose to mention right now would be purposeful miseducation and censoring history. I have never seen a time when people are actively censoring what is taught in terms of history. The only reason to censor history is because you are intentionally trying to do it again. Because if people don't know history, then they are going to repeat it. So I heard that Elena has not gone, so I'm going to pass it to Elena.
Hello. I would say my burning issue is I'm not sure if it was said already, but I would say homelessness. There's a lot of that, and I don't think that's really like, you know, fair and just to have all these people not without a home in a sense. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, has anyone not gone? I think we have covered the waterfront. Thank you all for sharing. There's a lot of good intention. There's a lot of deep history. There's a lot of knowledge here. You can see some themes. I think yes, people have shared similar thoughts. So basically, your final assignment will be returning to the one burning issue. You have to pick one. Give it a little thought, focus it in, and then you're going to do a few things in this presentation. You're going to explain it a little bit, and you're going to find some data out there. I call it data porn, but these are graphs and other kinds of visualizations, charts, you know, depending on your issue. Like say if you had picked over incarceration of people of color in the prison system, you know, there are charts that show the trend line and that compare America to other countries, you know, that kind of thing. So you're going to find two charts, one that kind of explains the breadth, the awesomeness or bad aspects of this issue, and one that kind of shows the trend line. In other words, what will happen if your issue is not addressed? So you find me a couple of charts or a couple of stats or pie charts, you know. You can have some fun with that. It can be creative. You're going to find some organizations in America that are dealing with this issue. So you're going to sort of scoot around on the internet. You may know some already. The instructions are in the chat on the PDF. You can download it. It's on the website as well. But you're going to find several different kinds of organizations. But the main part, the fun part, is you're going to solve the problem. You're going to apply your civic imagination and say what we should do to make that problem go away. And so for the sake of our exercise, money is no object. And please focus your solution here on Chicago in a real place that you know. And again, if you want some inspiration or some ideas, you can see what your colleagues did in the last session. They were pretty amazing. Okay, that's how we're going to roll for the rest of our class. Now, to the topic at hand, civic engagement. So let me get back to my little PowerPoint thingy here. Question is, why do we do civics? Why are we even in this class? Right? Well, I mean, you know, you guys are here for technology, right? And training, and, you know, to get some skills, right? To advance yourselves, yes, to be placed eventually into a position connected to the world of technology in some way, shape, or form, right? But is that the real purpose of IC Stars? Anybody want to tell me what the real purpose of IC Stars is?
I would say that is to do that in combination with, like, I guess, promoting like social change, because I guess by doing that, it you know, puts people of different diverse backgrounds in places that where they can have influence, basically.
Yeah. So yes, we want you all to succeed, obviously, and have great careers, you know, and be prosperous and have families if that's your choice, and you stay in Chicago, or maybe you move to someplace else, but to be prosperous and obviously healthy and happy for sure. But I think Reginald was putting his finger on something about bringing your skills, your leadership, shall we say, your leadership into the community wherever you end up, and to do good, or to pass it forward, maybe, if you want to put it that way. So that's a civic thing. That's nothing to do with business, is it? Right? It's not about the bottom line. It's about something else. So that brings me back to the question of, why do civics? Anybody want to hazard a guess about why we're even this class is even being offered to IC Stars? Why do civics? Well, I tell you what, we're going to put you into small groups right now for 10 minutes. And
can I say, I'm sorry, I couldn't get to my mic quickly enough, but can I say, because we live in a democracy?
Yeah. Okay. So that implies a sort of responsibility to be part of, you know, not to be a bystander, I guess, maybe, to paraphrase or to put words in your mouth, in the sense of to someone who much is given, much is expected. So you could say, okay, big deal. We're living in America. It seems to be a lot of messes, a lot of problems. You all put your fingers on many, many problems in this country. Yes, that's been that way since day one, right? This country's never been anything like any kind of perfect whatever. But it sounds like we believe it's perfectible. It's not perfect, but it's perfectible, but only if you roll up your sleeves and lend a hand. I'm extrapolating a lot from what Linda has just said, but that's kind of what I hear. All right, I'm going to send you into small groups, and I'd like you to basically just address the question of, why do civics, and you can explain to me maybe what you mean by civics. And we have a link to a Google shared document that I'll put in the chat right now. So you should click on that. Everyone should click on that and open that up in another screen. And you'll see something like this. So basically, there'll be 5 groups. Each group will put their names here. So who's in each group, and basically just use that space, you know, with sentences and insights of, why do civics? Coming back out of small group work, appreciate it. Good stuff.
Okay, so what do you think about Nemesis? Or are you familiar with Nemesis, who has your name, yeah. Tom Tresser?
Oh, how did you know that? That's hysterical. That is intentional, Lynetta. Because I roomed with Gary Burkett in our acting days back in 1979.
Shut up! Really?
Yeah. So we were actors in something called the Merrimack Valley Theater Company. This is completely of no interest to anybody else on the call, but we were at this theater company in Manchester, New Hampshire, and Gary's side job, like a lot of times actors are waiters and stuff, you know. So Gary was a writer for DC Comics, and he did the back of the book story for what was called Brave and the Bold. So the Brave and the Bold, she's like nodding her head.
Because that's the first time that Tom Tresser shows up in Brave and Bold. Yes.
Yeah, right. So he had the back of the book story. The front of Brave and Bold was always Batman partnered with somebody. Mm-hmm. And that was the main story. But then there was like 8 pages in the back, and they gave him the job, and he was writing like Westerns one time, and then you know, science fiction-y things. And then they said, well, why don't you create a new character? So that was his assignment, and he named the character after me, and he's quote Shakespeare. in the book. And when I came to Chicago and joined and became a member of something called the Free Shakespeare Company, which I helped start, the
Okay.
character of Nemesis went undercover and joined the Underground Shakespeare Company.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Is that nutty? And then at one point, this character went to England for some reason and met an Inspector Michael Bocus of Scotland Yard, who's my brother. He's my half brother, so same mom but different dad. So anyway, I don't know what possessed Carrie to do all that, but he did that. And then the character was blown up in a helicopter, sad to say, but then he was resurrected in the Suicide Squad
Yes.
years later by another friend of mine, John Ostrander. And John Ostrander is very well known in the comic book circle. John created the Suicide Squad, and I was a member with Deadshot and all these other people. And then time went on again, and apparently Wonder Woman hooked up with Nemesis, and apparently they had a thing.
Okay.
So I'm
not sure that you should not lead with that, because this group would totally dig it.
Oh my God. Well, I guess you're right about that. So I mean, I get an email once in a while saying, is Wonder Woman a good kisser? And I was like saying, well, hate to break it to you, but that's a fictional character. I've never actually, my Wonder Woman is for real. I mean, she's downstairs right now doing business. So there's that. Anyway, you're so cool. Thank you for.
Oh, thank you for that. That was awesome.
Oh my Lord. Okay, well, all right. I will send you guys some links.
I played Othello in high school. It's not as cool as y'all's, but I played Othello in high school.
Oh, nice.
And I was in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Awesome. Yes, I played Puck in that. Well, we can have a whole nother cover.
Yeah, we talk about that later.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
let's, please.
All right. Group one. Each group will now get 2 minutes to report, starting with group one. What did you come up with, please?
So we all pretty much just wrote a sentence about why civics was important to us, and I guess we just read them. Mine said, civics is important because it allows us to function in such a way as to make society livable for all through the election of public officials, the creation of legislation, and an emphasis on fixing social issues. That was my sentence.
Anybody else from group one want to add anything that you want to make sure that we don't forget? Otherwise, cool. Thank you, group one. Let's go to group two.
For our group, it was more along something the same lines. Make our own sentences, what we thought what civics was, or how it pertains to IC stars and things of that nature. Because I just put down what I thought the nature of learning civics was. It's just to be better informed about the world around oneself.
Great.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and in order to continue to make change and stuff like that, you have to know about different issues around different communities, not just your own. So yeah, that's kind of what we said. Ain't that right, Olivia?
Yeah. I mean, basically, yeah, basically that. I mean, Icy Stars is about, one of their things is reciprocity. So thinking about how, in what ways can we give back after we commence, that impact our community. So
I love it. So for everyone else sort of thinking about this, as your colleagues are reporting, looking for themes and looking for something that's under the thing. So we'll talk about that in a minute. What's under the thing you just mentioned? Great. Group three.
We kind of spoke about why civics is important, for the support from other people who have the same burning issues that we do, to bring those groups together to problem solve for our burning issues, and then the reassurance that there is precedent for solving those issues. And that's why we thought civics was important.
Great. Group four.
Our group came up with, we came from where it brings awareness to other communities about their own struggles, pretty much. And I guess just how it a study into how a citizen should be in their society and their rights.
Okay. We're getting to some good stuff here. Excellent. Last group 5.
I think so. We all ruminated on it together, but wrote individual statements. Mine was just that as a community of individuals who come from underserviced areas, that we're in a unique position to offer insights and propose change. And then through that awareness of the proposed changes from ourselves and other areas, we can understand our impact as individuals and endeavor to create a positive impact in our and other communities.
Yes. Great. Anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, no, just to become more self-aware about the issues in our community is what I wrote down. And I mean, I think it's really great that we're taking this course.
Awesome.
And I would say just having an impactful voice and standing on what you believe that would be conducive to the growth of your environment or the world.
Awesome, Truman. Standing on what you believe. Well, now, awesome, because we now going to segue into the next part of our content. So you have made many good insights here about why do civics, and in so doing, you sort of indirectly touched upon the question of what is civics? Like, what are we talking about here? So I think you kind of blended, your insights kind of covered a little bit of both of that. And now I will share the screen again. And we'll talk a little bit about what exactly do we mean by civics? Okay. All right. So you've addressed the question, I think, with a lot of good ideas about why, and in so doing, you bring up naturally, I think, what exactly do we mean when we say we are doing civics? And I think you'll see in a minute that you sort of like had a good preview of coming attractions, if you will. So for me, the way I talk about civics is like this. There's 3 buckets. There's 3 domains, if you will. The first is the civic heart, and that's what Truman was, I think, getting to. Like, what beliefs do you stand on? So the question is, what do you even bring to the party before we even talk about, volunteering or voting or any of the things that you mentioned in the survey that you've done? The first and most important question to ask is, what is your heart? What is your disposition? What is in your mind as you enter to this work? And what should it be in order to be a really powerful actor in the world of civics? So what's your attitude, if you will? What kind of person would be great at doing civics? So that's what I mean by what is your civic heart, or what would be, what do you observe in people who are really good at doing civics or really powerful? What kind of person are they? And what kinds of qualities should we be lifting up, if you will? If you were going to go into the civic gym, you follow me? Domain 2, which we'll cover next week, is the civic brain. Now, you alluded to that in some of your comments about what should you know. Now, you're in a training program now that has a curriculum, does it not, for the things you should know to be a powerful coder, a powerful person in the technology field, right? You must know spreadsheets, yes? You must know a little bit about coding, yes? You must know about teamwork and other kinds of things to be a powerful and effective person in the technology business. So if you didn't know what a spreadsheet was before you got to IC Stars, I guess they cured that one pretty quick, didn't they? If you didn't know maybe how to build an app, and why should you know how to do that? Maybe some of you did. If you didn't know what a good team member was, like how to be a member of a team that's solving a problem, and you have a deadline, you must solve this problem, right? By a certain time, you have to make a presentation. If you never knew how to make a presentation before, not everybody is good at it, yeah? Some people are good at it, some people struggle, yes? Well, all those things you're learning and you're building those muscles through your time at IC Stars. So what should you know in the world of civics? And the final bucket, bucket 3, which we'll cover in the 3rd class, is your civic muscle. What should you be able to do? That follows a little bit of what you should know. But now what is your experience? What kind of activities should a good civic engager do with? All right. I'm going to send you back into the same small groups. You'll have 10 minutes, and you're going to noodle on civic heart. What is your civic heart? And you're going to use a Jamboard to record your insights. So here's the Jamboard. Again, I'll put that link into the chat. Here's the Jamboard link. Please copy that into your and open that screen. And again, there'll be the same 5 groups. Each group has a Jamboard, so there'll be 5 Jamboards. Group 1, use Jamboard 1. Group 2, use Jamboard 2, etc. And this is where you can use images, you can use words, little sticky notes. You've used the Jamboards before, right? So you can have
Those
some fun
strong
with it.
bonds.
But the question,
So one of the things that one of the teams in our cohort, one of their like slogans for their team, because they're the Unbreakables. So it's building strong bonds. And so we have that picture up there representing that as well.
so much good stuff. Tell me more about love.
I think I'll put that up there.
Well,
So I think just for me, it comes down to you have to carry love in your heart. Regardless of the cause that you want to fight for, you have to have a love for that and a love for the people that you're fighting for. Because anytime that you say, I want to promote change, or I want to be an advocate for change, and I want to lead this, you have to understand that you're traveling a road less, you're on the narrow road. And in that process, you're going to meet resistance. And so that love and that resilience has to be there in order for you to combat the resistance that you're going to meet in trying to promote change, because we all know change is uncomfortable. And in order to put people in a, I guess, space where they're feeling uncomfortable enough to be vulnerable, you got to coat it with a little love. So yeah.
so deep. I hear a lot there, Virginia. I hear a lot. So part of what I hear is before anything is love. And
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, in other words, before I try to get into this world or try to do anything, I'm coming at it from a positive, like, and would you accept the word generous?
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to be in this work out of love and positivity, even though there's a lot of negativity, right? Even though there's a lot of hate going on in the world, maybe even hate directed at me or you, but the kind of quality we're looking for in this work starts with love and empathy, which is another word I see. So what can someone tell me from group 1 what they mean by empathy? Is this connected?
For me, because I put up empathy, you have to be empathetic and understand people's feelings and stuff, and to want to help people and to want to make change and stuff. And that's part of civics and stuff, and that's part of love as well. So without empathy and compassion, you don't know what love is and stuff.
Yes, I think so. I think we're on something, that these things are connected. Yes. So if I am unempathetic to you, I can't have a positive, I can't have a loving relationship if I'm scornful to you, or certainly if I'm dismissive, let alone hateful to you. So being empathetic, for those of you who are in the theater, right? I mean, we were talking a little about acting. When you're in the theater, you can play a bad person, you can play a character who's not like you, but you can't hate that character that you're playing in the world of the theater. You have to get into the skin of that character to portray that character as best as you can with your skill, obviously, and the words of the playwright, etc., such that the person in the audience is watching you playing a person who's not you, still thinking, that's pretty realistic. I may not like that person. Oh, that person may scare me or whatever, but I kind of get it. And, that's what a part of what a good play, an artistic experience is about, when we're entering into the world of the other person. And what we're saying here, I think, at the top of our time together, Cycle 52, is we got to get into the head of the other person. We got to be a little bit in their space. I got to walk in your shoes a little bit, right? As much as possible. And so now that's a question of what is that your civic imagination? Is that you're just being open? We can get into that a little later, but I want to just land on that as something very important, and which I agree with wholeheartedly. Okay, we could spend the rest of the day just on this. There's so many good things here, but let's go to group 2, and there's group 2. You can see what's on there. What do you guys group 2? Anybody from group 2?
Sounds like we had about the same kind of stuff.
It's okay. You can repeat or emphasize, or it's okay.
We had some of the different ones was like determined, resourcefulness, persistent, driven, enduring, self-care.
Sacrifice. Got to be willing to sacrifice.
Oh, okay. Talk about sacrifice.
I think that just comes down to actually care. I think that ties into love too. Like, if you have a good heart, you'll be willing to have empathy for that person, and then you'll be willing to sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice to make sure that situation or that person is taken care of. I think all that is just connected. Got to understand that certain things they're bigger than you. Got to be able to step outside of yourself and understand that certain situations and certain topics are just bigger than you, bigger than yourself, and you're gonna have to sacrifice it. So sacrifice. Everybody gonna have to sacrifice something.
And can I as a proton?
You're not in group 2.
I know.
You're not in group 2. You're not in group 2.
But as one of the protons in the class, and we talked about this in our group too, because it's on our thing as well. But I know that a lot of people like to use the word sacrifice, but I would even challenge people to start using the word investment instead of sacrifice, because even though you are, I guess, giving up something in order to have something else, you're investing in that something else. So even if it's a person or a thing that you're doing, you're still, or a cause, you're investing your time, you're investing your energy, you're investing whatever resources that you're using in order to further that cause. So, and I know that wordplay is a big thing with mindset. And so that's why I just mentioned that. Is
Cool.
that maybe even using the word investment instead of sacrifice.
I like it.
So
I was actually not going to say anything because, again, we are group 1 and not group 2, and I didn't want to take their time, but I agree with that because we had a guy who made multiple millions come in. And basically one of the things that he emphasized from my perspective is making it, but not arriving with a community, and how lonely that is. So making it is nothing if you arrive without a community. So it is sacrifice, but it is investment because your community is important, and when you make it together, it's so much more. You want somebody to look at and say, look at what we did, and feel with you, not be alone.
There's a difference between investment and sacrifice. An investment you expect a return, and sacrifice you're giving something up for a cause. That's why I feel like sacrifice is a far better word when you're talking in civics terms. You don't invest into civics. But you don't invest into civics. You sacrifice for civics. Martin Luther King didn't invest into freedom. He sacrificed for freedom.
We are not going to settle this right now, but I think there is a sense of selflessness in this work, in that you are doing this without an expectation of return. Now, there could be a return. It could be an invisible return, I think is what you're alluding to, like you're now part of a community. But it doesn't always work that way. It could take a long time. Sometimes the earliest voices of protest and change are ostracized, and they're not welcomed. Eventually they are welcomed, but sometimes the earliest protesters, whatever it was, women's rights, gay rights, whatever rights you name, those early voices, yes, they had a community, if you will, of themselves, I suppose you could say. But as far as the rest of society, they were shunned, sometimes harmed, physically harmed.
Definitely King's experience in the North, you know, when he first came up to the North. Yep.
Yeah, he received more violence and hatred here than he had in the Deep South in his entire career. He remarked upon that several times. So this idea of giving up something to get something maybe is part of the work. And whether you want to how you choose to talk about it, you know, we can agree to disagree or come back to it and noodle on it. But I think it's important to the sense of generosity and willingness to step aside. I think you said step out of yourself. It's bigger than yourself. Those words, not everyone can do that. Okay, and you're not a bad person. You know what I mean? If this is not for you, right? But we're just trying to identify and lift up some of these qualities, and we're going to explain why. Because I encourage you to take notes as we go through these exercises. And if you say, "Oh, that's me," I'm going to underscore that. I got that. Put a check mark on it. Or if we get to something, you say, "You know what? That's not so much me. I don't even know what they're talking about." I'm going to circle that. And maybe that's something you can talk about offline and say, like, how do I build that muscle? Like, Kat, you're a very curious person. And we talked about curiosity, but I have trouble with that. So can you coach me, Kat, on how you seem to have this great curiosity, and you're always reading, and you're always, you know, in other words, if you see that, use this as an opportunity to build your civic muscles, if you will. All right. This is really good, cool stuff. Let's go on to group 3, please. Oh my goodness, you guys did an amazing thing here. Look at this. Look at that. Group 3.
Awesome. So we want to, as you can see, we want to keep the beat, make heart healthy choices for life. We chose the words empathetic, aware, equality, connected, beliefs in faith, empowered, strength, dedication, determination, resilience, driven, relatable, focus, proactive, and discipline. We also added reasonable, fighter, knowledgeable, kind, endearing, selfless, patient, and persistent.
Oh, yeah, great. So I'm going to just lift up one word, fighter. So talk to me about a fighter. What's a fighter? How do you know someone's fighting?
That goes back into that the word resilience. It goes hand in hand. It means to advocate for what you may stand for, whether it be your beliefs or whatever you connect to, and you fight to make a change. You fight to make an impact, a just change. So that's going through whatever stages of refinement, I would call it, to come out as pure gold.
So when we use the word fight, that's a shorthand for a lot of stuff, right? It means work. You're in action.
Yeah.
You are not sitting on the chair. You're not playing Farmville on your device, right? You know, you got to get out and about, and you can't do it by yourself. Can you? I mean, you can, I guess you can be a fighter by yourself, but to me, it implies you're in action trying to get something done beyond yourself. So when I hear the word fighter, I'm not talking about somebody with a club, you know, I'm talking about almost like someone who's like an organizer, who's pulling people together to get shit done in the way that you're speaking of, right? So when I'm fighting, I'm kind of organizing. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not easy, as you already mentioned. It's persistence, resilience, In other words, if this was easy, it'd be done already. So we wouldn't have to have this class, right? You know, so in other words, wishing doesn't make it so. So this is an important takeaway, you know, in the way that we look at civics. Being aware of injustice or even experiencing injustice yourself personally on your personal body and sitting home and being mad about it doesn't get it done. You could say it's the start of getting something done, but just being mad or being put upon or being angry is not going to get anything solved. So somehow we have to move beyond our personal hurts or our insights or whatever injustice is being done to us or that we observe. And then we move from that place to a place of being in relationship to others. And now I can say, Truman, you're fighting now. You got beat up. You got something bad happened to you. The cop pulled you over for driving while being black or whatever. And you went home and you said, damn, you know, and then you said, wait a minute, has this happened to other people? I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to call Alana, have you been pulled over while driving while black? She said, yeah, that happened to me. And now you call Lynette and said, Lynette, you know, does this ever happen to you? And so you're gathering information and you're sharing stories. And then, you know what, I think we should have a meeting. What do you think? Let's have a meeting and let's discuss this. Anybody got a place to meet? And Lonnie says, well, my church is, you know, we got a big room over there by the church. So why don't you all come over and I'll have some pizza and some soft drinks and we can discuss this, right? So now Truman has gone from being just pissed off and, you know what I mean, upset, and it's not healthy, you know, to just sit there and stew, you know what I mean? But now there's a couple of people sitting around the room, having some pizza, drinking some soft drinks, sharing these stories, and that's how this shit gets started. And the next thing you know, you're calling on the alderman, you know what I mean? You're writing a letter to the newspaper, you're visiting the police commander even, who knows what comes out of it. All right, cool. All right, group 4, what have you got? There's your group 4. A lot of pink sticky notes. Group 4.
So we put empathy, proactive, compassion, strong, empirical, outgoing, determined, interdependent, and artistic.
Oh, that's a new one for me. Empirical. Talk about that.
That wasn't my word, but I think it's doing research. Is that if I'm correct?
It's more like fact based on experience in a way.
So say some more about that.
So like you, for sure, you know what you experience and you take that into the way you perceive things and how you feel like things can change in a way.
So would it be fair to say that what I'm taking from that is, you know what's happened to you, right? You're an expert on your life, but some research is needed, some outgoing connection or data, let's call it data gathering. So in the case of the being pulled over driving while black scenario, after the meeting of the 4 or 5 people in the room discussing their personal situation, someone say, how do we know how big a deal this is? Are there records that we can go to, like from the police department, or has somebody been studying this? And we can know empirically how many people have been stopped by zip code, right? So you start with your personal experience. That's what we start with. But then what I'm hearing here is we then reach out and we have to do a little research. And the research could be me just talking to everybody in the cycle and just personally asking them, you know, questions, and I'm making notes. Or it could be going on into the Google or to the public records or other studies, right? So you could Google police pulling over people of color, you know, in urban areas, whatever, and you'll find, oh my God, there's like 55 studies on this. This clearly is something beyond just me, right? It wasn't just me having a bad day. There's something going on here, and that's part of this work. So it lifts it up from being just the personal, like, I was a bad driver, or whatever. I got somebody in a bad mood, that kind of personal situation, to the context of the larger situation. Awesome. Anything else that group 4 wants to add? That you want to add to this?
I thought it was interesting that we mentioned artistic. I never put it together, but we came to the conclusion that most people that are artistic, they have a ability to see the world around them, not just, or beyond them, not just kind of tunnel vision, just what their own experiences they're able to feel, understand the problems of others.
You hit upon this is actually one of my favorite things that is actually rarely talked about. So this is an interesting group of interns on this cycle. And my prior background, I confessed as being a former artist, actor. And yes, I think this is actually a very critical but often untalked about aspect of social justice. And what I think I'm hearing here is this idea of civic imagination. So what we say, organizers and change agents have double vision. And I think this is speaking to this creative piece. The change maker sees the world as it is, right? With its faults and blemishes and errors. But at the same time, they see the world as it could be, almost at the same time. And this could be because it's just your imagination, or it could be, of some other place. Like, why does it have to be like this? Because I remember when it was like that. So why can't it be like that over here? Or I read about, there's universal health care in Scandinavia or something, or I visited some country that had a situation better than America. So why can't we have that? Well, however it comes, you read something. So the ability to see the world as it is, and also to see how it should be at the same time, and then to be able to move towards the world as it should be, to change the world as it is. And in order to do that, I think that is a creative aspect that we often don't maybe name so much. But I do believe that is true, which is why I think artists and people in the creative abilities have kind of an untapped fuel source or something. They're like an untapped weapon, if you will, in the fight for justice. But if you think about it, all social justice campaigns have always had the arts in them, and song, for example, right?
Well, I was going to ask you if you had ever heard of the quote that was attributed to Queen Victoria that said, "Beware the artists because they mix with all classes."
No, but it makes total sense to me. And it's also true that when totalitarian governments come in, the first people they kill are the artists and the intellectuals, the professors and the artists, the people who are calling shit out, the people who say truth to power, even if they're not political beings. But you can be political by just making a nice work of art, or making a painting or a poem that calls out contradictions. So artists often see contradictions. They often see disconnections or untruths.
Hey, Tom, can I ask you that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, interrupt you, but that, and also I would say, like, people mention like capitalism and like economic stuff too. I would say 2 things about the whole artist thing. 1, commodification, and 2, expression, right? So commodification, like being an artist, like me, I'm an artist, but like from the music side, like like acting or whatever. But which I'm fascinated that you do that. I would love to talk to you about that. But anyway, like being treated as a product, being commodified. Like as an artist, like, you get commodified, you become a product. So instead of being a human being, you now become a slot on a radio program. You now become a slot on a performance bill. You know what I'm saying? You now become, So and then people treat you as such, like, so you understand how it feels to be like treated as a commodity. And 2, expression, how you say the first people they take out are like the artists and the intellectuals, because expression, right? So like the whole core of like protest or like civic duty is like protest, right? Which is expression, which is basically you using your voice to say,
right,
hey, you don't like this, hey, this is wrong, or hey, this shouldn't be happening. But what is like the most ultimate form of protest than something that's over a beat that like people want to hear, they see themselves in it, they want to spread it. It's kind of like an audio virus, man. It's everywhere.
Well,
So
we know, well, we know hip hop has changed the world, and that and making music, in some cases, is a total act of political, thinking and doing. We could spend a whole nother session just talking about the connection between creativity and democracy, and I strongly believe that. But let's hear from Group 5. We have a few more minutes to go, so let's hear from Group 5.
Hello. Let me just open it back up here.
Here's Group 5.
So we came up with a whole bunch of things: empathy, compassion, understanding, reciprocity. I hope I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Equality, determination, resilience, and reflection. So it goes back to what we were talking about at Group 2. Resilience, not necessarily like a sacrifice, but like you gotta be resilient to some sort. And then I noticed everybody else was making, nice, cute photos on their thing. So I Googled something about equality.
Great. Well, you picked up on another term, resilience. I think that's been put by a couple of different people, a couple of different groups. Part of what I hear there is the ability to walk through walls on a regular basis. So there's the unrealistic, what I call unrealistic optimism. Unrealistic optimism of optimist. So as I say, the change agent sees the world as it should be and moves with purpose to making the world as they see in their hearts, as you see in your heart. So you attempt to change the world. Now that's crazy. Why would you, in other words, most people, when they experience injustice or see injustice, they really don't do anything about it, right? And that's just human nature. But the kind of people that we're talking about in this work, they do go into action and they do try to move towards change, but you're going to encounter obstacles. I mean, again, we're going to get into this a little more detail later on, but obviously society is not ready to change just because you want it to change. So this idea of being persistent, resilient, being able to take a blow, right, and get up again, being able to, people will be told no. You'll be told you're stupid, you're crazy, you hate America, or whatever. You're a communist. I mean, all the things they threw at Dr. King. We don't have. There's a book that would fill up all the things that they threw at him. But you don't have to be a Dr. King to do this work. You just have to have that resilience to be able to say, look, I know what's right, and I'm going to move with purpose to try to make things right. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm gonna move with purpose. And that takes a little courage. Now, that's something that I think you didn't put down there, but I think we would agree the change agent needs courage. All right, let me get back to the presentation and we'll close out our time together here. Part of what I'm wondering is there one or two things from all the things we talked about that's the top thing? So we're not going to have time to answer that question now, but I would like you to think about it, and we'll get back to it at the top of the next class. You mentioned a lot of things, beautiful things. This Jamboard will be on the class website, so you can refresh your memory. But we're going to start next class by just revisiting this list, and I'm going to ask for a conversation like, what's like the top one thing? I'm going to make you pick. Of all the things we talked about, if you were going to build a civic gym, as it were, right, and you're going to be training people up in some kind of skill, in other words, to get ready, like the fighters, before he gets in the ring, he's got to do the laps or whatever, he's got to lift the weights or whatever, improve your wind. What's the one thing from the civic heart that you would like to stress? Okay. All right. For class 2 next week, same time, same bat channel, we will move into the civic brain. Everybody watch your incoming email over the weekend. We'll be sending you a formatted HTML newsletter from tom@trusser.com. It'll contain a summary as well as a preview. I say thank you so much, Cycle 52. It was wonderful to meet you for the first time. I look forward to engaging with you in the rest of our classes. Have a great week and stay safe and sane out there. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Tom. It's been a